Okay, in this example, we're going to interpret a two-way relative frequency table. So it's the exact same situation we had in the last one. You know, this food chain wants to add a vegetarian item. They're not sure which to add. They surveyed. We got burgers, veggie pizzas. This is the same table we saw in the last example. This is a two-way frequency table. Frequency gives us total number of people that chose this, people that choose this. So as soon as we throw the word relative in there, we want to know, how does this 50 relate to everything else? So we're going to just go ahead and we're going to draw in a relative frequency table. So let's see. We've got our veggie burger. And I'll just show you the difference between the two. We have a veggie pizza. We've got our totals. Off on the left, we have male, female, and totals. Okay, so when we do our relative frequency table, we know that we had 50 males choose the veggie burger. Okay, well, that was 50 males out of how many total people? Well, they surveyed 225 people. So what we do is we take the 50, and to show how it relates to the total, we divide it by 225. And we're going to get either, you can have a reduced fraction, a decimal, or percent. We'll just go to percents with these. So if you divide these, we'll round to the nearest percent. We're going to say that's about 22%. So how many males chose vegetarian pizzas? Well, there were 40 males that chose vegetarian pizzas. But how does that relate to the total? It's 40 out of 225 people. That gives us an 18%. So 18% of everybody were males and chose the vegetarian pizza. So for the total, if we add, we had 50 plus 40 gave us 90. So that 90 out of our total 225 gives us about 40%. So about 40% of the males Sorry, not 40% of the males. About 40% of the total were males, and they chose either the burger or the pizza. Okay, so let's do our relative frequencies for the females. Females that chose veggie burgers, we had 60 out of 225. We divide that, we get 27%. We had 75 out of 225, which gave us about 33%. And then 60 plus 75, we had 135 out of 225, which gave us 60%. All right, so our totals will go along the bottom row. So how many total people picked a veggie burger? That was 110 out of the 225. And what is that as a percent? About 49%, rounding to the nearest percent. Here we had 115 out of 225, and we get 51%. And then the total in the bottom right, this should be everything. In a relative frequency table, if you have 90 plus 135, you get 225 over 225. If you have 110 plus 115, you get 225 out of 225. So the bottom right one should always be 225 out of 225, giving us 100% of the people. So the difference between a frequency table, what we saw in the last example, which was right here, and a relative frequency table is you just take the frequency table and you find how it relates to everything else. So we're finding those percentages, dividing by the total. So if we read this, let's just focus on the veggie burger column. We can see that 22% of the people that chose a veggie burger were male, and 27% of the people who selected veggie burgers were female. So a greater percent of females than males selected veggie burgers. So we're just able to do comparisons with percentages versus number of people. All right, and then just one more question. How can you tell whether a greater percent of customers surveyed selected veggie burgers or veggie pizza? So we look at our marginal frequencies. That's, the margins along the edge here. These give our percentages of males and females, and these down here will give the percentages of veggie burgers and veggie pizza. So we can see that we had the veggie burger, 49% of the people picked that, and the veggie pizza had 51% of the people chose that. So a greater percentage of customers selected the veggie pizza.